Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from the Krishna book. We are on chapter 20, description of autumn. And we were reading how the seasons are beautifully compared to our consciousness rising and our understanding of the Bhagavan. So let us continue. Because of the appearance of the autumn season, the water of the ocean becomes calm and quiet. Just as a person developed in self-realization becomes free from disturbance by the three modes of material nature, which are mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. In autumn, farmers save the water from within the fields by building strong walls so that the water contained within the field cannot run out. There is hardly any hope for new rainfall. Therefore, they want to save whatever is in the field. Similarly, a person who is actually advanced in self-realization protects his energy by controlling the senses. It is advised that after the age of 50, one should retire from family life and should conserve the energy of the body for utilization in the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Unless one is able to control the senses and engage them in the transcendental loving service of Mukunda, there is no possibility of salvation. During the daytime in autumn, the sun is very scorching, but at night, due to the clear moonshine, people get relief from the day's fatigue. If a person takes shelter of Mukunda or Krishna, he can be saved from the fatigue of misidentifying the body with the self. Mukunda or Krishna is also the source of solace for the damsels of Vrindavan, the gopis. The damsels of Vrijbhumi are always suffering because of separation from Krishna. When they meet Krishna during the moonlit autumn night, their fatigue of separation is also satiated. When the sky is clear of all clouds, the stars at night shine very beautifully. Similarly, when a person is actually situated in Krishna consciousness, he is cleared of all dirty things and he becomes as beautiful as the stars in the autumn sky. Although the Vedas contain instructions for pursuing knowledge, the Gyan, for practicing mystic yoga and for engaging in karmic activities in the forms of sacrifices, the ultimate purpose of the Vedas is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. One has to accept Krishna consciousness after thoroughly studying the Vedas. Therefore, the clean heart of a devotee in Krishna consciousness can be compared to the clean sky of the autumn season. During autumn, the moon looks very bright along with the stars in the clear sky. Lord Krishna himself appeared in the sky of the Yadu dynasty, and he was exactly like the moon surrounded by the stars, or the members of the Yadu dynasty. He was the Chandravanshi. When there are ample blooming flowers in the gardens, in the forest, the fresh aromatic breeze gives a great relief to the person who has suffered during the summer and rainy seasons. Unfortunately, such breezes could not give any relief to the gopis because of their heart's dedication to Krishna. People in general might have taken pleasure in that nice autumn breeze, but the gopis, not being embraced by Krishna, were not very much satisfied. On the arrival of the autumn season, all the cows, deer, birds, and females in general become pregnant, because in that season all the husbands generally become impelled by sexual desire. Such pregnant females are exactly like the transcendentalists who, by the grace of the Supreme Lord, are bestowed with the benediction of their destinations in life. Srila Rupa Goswami has instructed in his Upadeshamrita that one should execute devotional service with great enthusiasm, patience, and conviction, and should follow the rules and regulations. Keep oneself clean from material contamination and stay in the association of devotees. By following these 6 principles, one is sure to achieve the desired result of devotional service. For him who patiently follows the regulative principles of devotional life, the time will undoubtedly come when he will achieve the desired result, as the females reap result by becoming expectant. During the autumn, the lotus flowers in the lake grow in large numbers because of the absence of lilies. Both the lilies and the lotus flowers grow by sunshine. But during the autumn season, the scorching sunshine helps only the lotus. This is compared to a country where the king or the government is strong. The unwanted elements like thieves and robbers cannot prosper. When the citizens become confident that they will not be attacked by robbers, they develop with great satisfaction. A strong government is compared to the scorching sunshine in the autumn season. The lilies are compared to unwanted persons like robbers, and the lotus flowers are compared to the satisfied citizens. During autumn, the fields become filled with ripened grain. At the time, the people become happy over the harvest and observe various ceremonies such as Navana, the offering of new grain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The new grain is first offered to the deities in various temples, and all are invited to take sweet rice made with this new grain. There are other religious ceremonies and methods of worship, particularly in Bengal, where the greatest of all such ceremonies is held, called Durga Puja. In Vrindavan, the autumn season was very beautiful then because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and Balaram. The mercantile community, the royal order, and great sages were free to move about in order to achieve their desired benedictions. Similarly, the transcendentalists, when freed from the engagement of the material body, also achieved their desired goal. During the rainy season, the mercantile community cannot move from one place to another and so do not get their desired profit. Nor can the royal order go from one place to another to collect taxes from the people. As for the saintly persons who must travel to preach transcendental knowledge, they also are restrained by the rainy season. But during the autumn, all of them leave their confines. In the case of transcendentalists, be he a jnani, a yogi, or a devotee, because of the material body, he cannot actually enjoy spiritual achievement. But as soon as he gives up the body or after death, the jnani merges into the spiritual effulgence, which we call the Brahma Jyoti of the Supreme Lord. The yogi himself to the various higher planets, and the devotee goes to the planet of the Supreme Lord, Golok Vrindavan, or one of the Vaikunthas, and thus enjoys his eternal spiritual journey. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 20th chapter of Krishna, description of autumn. Chapter 21, the gopis attracted by the flute. With the arrival of the beautiful autumn season, the waters in the lakes and rivers become as clear as crystal and filled with fragrant lotus flowers, and breezes blew very pleasantly. At that time, Krishna entered the forest of Vrindavan with the cows and cowherd boys. Krishna was very pleased with the atmosphere of the forest, where flowers bloomed and bees and drones hummed very jubilantly. While the birds, trees, and plants were all looking very happy, Krishna, tending the cows and accompanied by Sri Balaram and the cowherd boys, began to vibrate his transcendental flute. After hearing the vibration of the flute of Krishna, the gopis in Vrindavan remembered him and began to talk among themselves about how nicely Krishna was playing his flute. When the gopis were describing the sweet vibration of Krishna's flute, they also remembered their pastimes with him. Thus their minds became disturbed, and they were unable to describe completely the beautiful vibrations. While discussing the transcendental vibration, they remembered how Krishna dressed, decorated with a peacock feather on his head, just like a dancing actor, and with blue flowers pushed over his ears. His garment glowed yellow gold, and he was garlanded with Vaijayanti necklace. Dressed in such an attractive way, Krishna filled up the holes of his flute with the nectar emanating from his lips, so they remembered him, entering the forest of Vrindavan, which is always glorified by the footprints of Krishna and his companions. Krishna was very expert in playing the flute, and the gopis were captivated by the sound vibration, which was attractive not only to them but to all living creatures who heard it. One of the gopis told her friends, "The highest perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balaram entering the forest and playing their flutes and tending the cows with their friends." Persons who are constantly engaged in the transcendental meditation of seeing Krishna internally and externally by thinking of him, playing the flute, entering the Vrindavan forest, and tending the cows with the cowherd boys have really attained the perfection of samadhi, or the trance. Means absorption of all the activities of the senses in a particular object. And the gopis indicate that the pastimes of Krishna are the perfection of all meditation and samadhi. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who is always absorbed in the thought of Krishna is the topmost of all yogis. Another gopi expressed her opinion that Krishna and Balaram, while tending the cows, appeared just like actors going to play on a dramatic stage. Krishna was dressed in glowing garments of yellow, Balaram in blue, and they held new twigs of mango tree, peacock feathers, and bunches of flowers in their hands. Dressed with garlands of lotus flowers, they were sometimes singing very sweetly among their friends. One gopi told her friends, "How is it Krishna and Balaram are looking so beautiful?" Another said, "My dear friends, we cannot even think of his bamboo flute. What sort of pious activities did he execute? So it is now enjoying the nectar of the lips of Krishna, which is actually the property of us gopis." So the gopis were jealous of Krishna's flute, bamboo flute. Krishna sometimes kisses the gopis, therefore the transcendental nectar of his lips is available only to them. So the gopis asked, "How is it possible that the flute, which is nothing but a bamboo rod, is always engaged in enjoying the nectar from Krishna?" Because the flute is engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, the mother and the father of the flute must be happy. The lakes and rivers are considered to be the mothers of the trees because the trees simply live by drinking water. So the waters of the lakes and rivers of Vrindavan were in a happy mood, full of blooming lotus flowers because the waters were thinking. How is it that our son, the bamboo rod, is enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips? The bamboo trees standing by the banks of the rivers and the lakes were also happy to see their descendant so engaged in the service of the Lord, just as persons who are advanced in transcendental knowledge take pleasure in seeing their descendants engaged in the service of the Lord. The trees were overwhelmed with the joy and were incessantly yielding honey, which flowed from the beehives hanging on the branches. Another gopi thus spoke to her friends about Krishna. "Dear friends, our Vrindavan is proclaimed the glories of this entire earth because this planet is glorified by the lotus footprints of the son of Devaki. Besides that, when Govinda plays his flute, the peacocks immediately become mad, as if they have heard the rumbling of the new cloud. When all the animals and trees and plants, either on the top of Govardhan hill or in the valley, see the dancing of the peacocks, they all stand listen to the transcendental sound of the flute with great attention. We think that this boon is not possible or available on any other planet." Although the gopis were simple cowherd village women and girls, they had extensive Vedic knowledge. Such is the effect of the Vedic civilization. People in general would learn the highest truths of Vedas simply by hearing from the authoritative sources. Another gopi said, "My dear friends, just see the deer. Although they are dumb animals, they have approached the son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna. Not only are they attracted by the dress of Krishna and Balaram, but as soon as they hear the playing of the flutes, the deer, along with their husbands, offer respectful obeisances unto the Lord by looking at him with great affection." The gopis were envious of the deer because the deer were able to offer their service to Krishna along with the rest of their family. The gopis thought themselves not so fortunate because whenever they wanted to go to Krishna, their own husbands were not happy. So we will continue from here tomorrow. So we have read how the description of the autumn season was given to us comparing to the consciousness of the devotee, the clear skies of the autumn, compared with the consciousness of the clear thinking and clear conviction of a devotee. And now we're reading about the gopis entering the forest with Krishna and Balaram while they're tending their cows, and how they enjoy the flute. And slowly we will read more and more about gopis as we continue with our reading. So everyone, have a lovely day ahead. Thank you for joining Narayan Keshav Prabhu and Shamita. Hare Krishna.